The Cambodian Killing Fields of 1975 to 1979 stand as one of the darkest chapters in modern history, a harrowing reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty. The fields were sites of mass executions and burials carried out by the Khmer Rouge regime, led by the infamous Pol Pot. The haunting evidence of these atrocities is epitomized by the skulls and bones unearthed from mass graves, a grim testament to the estimated 1.7 to 2.2 million lives lost. This article delves into the gruesome reality of these killing fields, weaving a chilling narrative around the images, stories, and historical events that defined this genocide. The genesis of a nightmare. In April 1975, the Khmer Rouge seized control of Phnom Penh, marking the start of their brutal regime. Their vision was to create an agrarian utopia, a society stripped of class distinctions, money, religion, and intellectualism. However, this vision turned into a dystopian nightmare. Intellectuals, professionals, and anyone perceived as a threat were targeted. Simply wearing glasses, knowing a foreign language, or possessing soft hands could be a death sentence. As Pol Pot's regime plunged the country into terror, the countryside became a killing ground. People were rounded up under false pretenses, taken to rural locations, and executed en masse. The method of death was deliberately brutal. Bullets were considered too expensive. Prisoners were bludgeoned with farming tools, their throats slit with palm fronds, or left to suffocate in plastic bags. These killings were carried out with chilling efficiency, their perpetrators numb to the screams of the dying. Skulls, silent witnesses of horror. The skulls unearthed from the killing fields are perhaps the most visceral reminders of the genocide. Rows upon rows of these human remains are now displayed in memorials such as the Cheung Ek Genocidal Center. Each crack in a skull, each puncture wound, tells a story of unimaginable pain and terror. These silent witnesses evoke both sorrow and revulsion, their empty eye sockets seeming to stare back at history with accusatory defiance. Photographs of these skulls are among the most haunting historical images ever captured. Some skulls bear the brutal evidence of their final moments, a shattered temple from a hammer's blow, a jagged hole from a sharpened tool. These remains, stripped of identity, belong to children, men, women, and the elderly. The randomness of their fate is chilling. It could have been anyone. The stark white of the bones against the blood-stained earth creates a visual juxtaposition that lingers in the mind like a specter. The mass graves, fields of death. The killing fields themselves, overgrown with grass and wildflowers today, conceal an undercurrent of horror. Beneath the surface lie the remains of countless victims. Some graves are marked by signs indicating the number of bodies found. Others remain untouched, their secrets preserved by the soil. The most infamous of these sites, Cheung Ek, was one of many execution centers scattered across Cambodia. Walking through the killing fields, visitors often report an oppressive silence. Even the wind seems reluctant to disturb the stillness. Tree roots intertwine with bones, and shards of clothing emerge from the earth after rains, as if the land itself cannot contain the memories of what transpired. The killing tree, where infants were dashed to their deaths, stands as a grim centerpiece, its bark marred with the impressions of brutality. The role of Tuol Sleng, a factory of death. Tuol Sleng, or S21, was a high school converted into a torture and execution facility. Here, prisoners were interrogated, starved, and brutalized before being sent to the killing fields. The walls of Tuol Sleng are adorned with photographs of its victims, each face frozen in a moment of fear and despair. These images are profoundly disturbing: children clutching their mothers, men with swollen faces, and women with tear-streaked cheeks. The meticulous documentation by the Khmer Rouge adds a surreal layer of horror. Every prisoner was photographed and forced to confess crimes they never committed, often under extreme duress. Their confessions, absurd and macabre, were used to justify their executions. One cannot look at these photographs without feeling the cold breath of death, the stark contrast between the living eyes in the pictures and the lifeless skulls now on display. Survivors' stories, voices of agony. Those who survived the killing fields carry scars that transcend the physical. Their testimonies paint a vivid picture of the atrocities. They speak of forced marches under the blazing sun, the agony of watching loved ones executed, and the gnawing hunger that turned even tree bark into sustenance. Survivors recount the haunting sounds of the killing fields, the screams, the thuds of clubs striking skulls, and the chilling silence that followed. One survivor, Chum May, recalls the anguish of losing his wife and children. "I begged him to let my family go," he said. But the Khmer Rouge had no mercy. They laughed as they killed. His story, like many others, underscores the cruelty of the regime. Survivors often describe the psychological toll of living in constant fear, the numbness that set in as the killings continued. Haunting images of execution. Photographs of execution methods used in the killing fields are some of the most disturbing records from this era. These images, though hard to look at, serve as critical evidence of the crimes committed. Victims kneeling with their hands bound, their faces etched with resignation, stand moments away from death. In some images, Khmer Rouge soldiers appear almost indifferent, their eyes devoid of emotion. One particularly haunting photo shows a mass grave being unearthed. The earth is churned with bones and decayed flesh, the stench of death lingering in the air. Workers, often survivors or locals, dig with solemn expressions, knowing that they are disturbing a graveyard created by inhuman cruelty. Each unearthed bone is a piece of a larger puzzle, a reminder of lives extinguished too soon. Legacy of trauma, the weight of memory. The killing fields have left a profound mark on Cambodia, a nation still grappling with its past. The psychological scars affect not only survivors but also subsequent generations. Many Cambodians live in villages where the killing fields are a daily presence, a grim backdrop to their lives. Memorial sites, though essential for remembrance, are a constant reminder of the horror. Efforts to bring justice through the extraordinary chambers in the courts of Cambodia, ECCC, have brought some perpetrators to trial. However, the process has been slow and fraught with challenges. For many, the justice delivered is too little, too late. The pain of losing entire families and communities cannot be erased by court rulings. Reflections on humanity's darkest depths. The Cambodian killing fields force us to confront uncomfortable questions about the human capacity for evil. How could such atrocities occur? What drives individuals to commit acts of such unrelenting cruelty? The skulls and mass graves are not just relics of the past, they are warnings for the present and future. These reminders serve as both a call to remember and a plea to never repeat. As visitors walk among the fields, the weight of history presses down like a suffocating shroud. The sight of skulls arranged in memorials is not merely tragic. It is a visual scream against the silence that allowed such horrors to unfold. Conclusion. A call to remember. The Cambodian killing fields remain an enduring symbol of genocide, a chilling reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink. The skulls, the graves, and the haunting photographs compel us to bear witness, to honor the memories of those who perished. In the eerie silence of these fields, one hears the echoes of a million voices, crying out for justice, for remembrance, and for the hope that such horrors will never occur again. Through their gruesome history, the killing fields remind us of the fragility of civilization and the importance of vigilance against tyranny. The skulls may be silent, but their message is deafening. Never forget.
To watch more videos like this, please visit my channel. Please support our channel. Please subscribe, comment below, and give a like. New videos are uploaded regularly.